What's going on, guys? DeJesus here. Thank you for joining us for another video. The time is finally here. After around 150 videos, we are less than 2,000 subscribers away from finally hitting that 100K mark. I remember in the not so distant past, there was a time where this seemed like a goal that was way out there in the way distant future. And to be this close, it's absolutely insane. So we say it all the time, but we want to say thank you guys again for your continued support. And every big milestone that we've hit here on YouTube, we've decided to kind of celebrate it by hosting a cool giveaway. And this one, we have to do our most exciting one yet, and we really want to get you guys involved. So what we're going to do is take a Jordan 1, and rather than us picking our own design, painting it, and giving it away, we want to get you guys involved. So we want you to design this Jordan 1. We're going to be hosting a mini little contest. You guys are going to design it, submit it to us. We're going to pick the coolest one, and then we're going to film a full video of painting them and then giving them away. So what we've already done is we went ahead and took a picture of these all white Jordan 1s. Now we're going to release this down below in the description in two different formats. A flat JPEG image, which you could download and then do your mockup on top of. And we also fully formatted a PSD file, better known as a Photoshop file, which is going to have all of the different panels and things on separate layers, which will be super easy for you to work with. Now, anytime we put out a video that involves mockup software, we get a lot of questions. Is there a way that this can be done for free or any other type of way if I don't have something like Photoshop? So what we're going to do in today's video is walk you through 4 different methods which you can do a really clean mockup. Some free, some paid for, some by hand, some digital. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So we already have a couple more in-depth videos on both Photoshop and Procreate here on our YouTube channel, but what we wanted to bring to you guys first was a free software that you can use, which is an online browser called Photopea.com. So I stumbled across this software completely accidentally one day. Photoshop was completely crashed on my computer for some reason, so I simply did a Google search of Photoshop online, and I found this website. I opened it up and I realized this looks really darn close to Photoshop. So after using it for a few times, I'm gonna go ahead and walk you guys through some of the pros and cons of using a program like this. Starting off with the pros, it is completely free and you do not need to download any apps or softwares onto your computer because you are doing this directly in your browser. And like I said, if you've ever opened up Photoshop before and now you go ahead and load this into your browser, they look pretty similar. Just the way that the workspace is set up, where all the toolbars are, they're pretty close. Basically, all of the main tools that you would be using in Photoshop on a regular basis, they're gonna be right here in this program. They're gonna be located in the same spot. So if you've ever played around to see what you can do with Photoshop, you're gonna be able to do a lot of that here. Now let's go ahead and move into some of the cons. If you've ever developed a workflow in Photoshop, it's gonna kind of get disrupted here. A lot of the keyboard shortcuts don't work. There's a few tools that are in different locations if you're used to just kind of knowing where everything is in Photoshop. It's a little bit different here, so if you already have an established workflow, it's gonna be a little bit disrupted moving into a program like this. Then while using the program a little bit more and building up a bigger project file size, the program started to get a little bit more buggy. Some of the ads constantly popping up started to get a little bit more annoying, and the program isn't as mobile because you do need to be connected to Wi-Fi. So if you're moving around on a laptop, you can kind of get Wi-Fi anywhere nowadays, but you do need to be connected to the internet to use this program, whereas with Photoshop, you can do it anywhere. So at the end of the day, this is a really great alternative if you don't want to be locked into buying software like Adobe's Photoshop. It's something that we use every single day. I wouldn't want to have to use this program on a daily basis, but if you're just starting out, you don't want to get locked in, this is great. You can really substitute Photoshop for this. For some typical common workflow, just building out a mockup on a pair of shoes, you can absolutely do that in a program like this. Option number 2 is going to be print out the image and use some physical media to go ahead and do your mockup. Whether you want to use something like Sharpies, colored pencil, paint it yourself, there's a lot of different ways that you can do that. And a lot of people constantly tell us they have no way of doing a mockup. Well, here's an alternative option because we've all been there before where we've done things like coloring, colored pencils, marker drawings, whatever the case may be. Using a physical media to do a mockup is another great option. This is another great cost-effective option if you're not looking for any additional hardware or software programming to do something like this. You can go old school, print it out and simply do your mockup work right on top of it. it. This could also be a really cool business idea to where maybe you always do your mock-ups directly on paper, you film yourself doing time lapses of it, and then all of a sudden you show another portion of the video where you actually take what you did on paper and bring it to life on a pair of shoes. That could be a really cool way to get some awesome content out of your creations, and that's what we're all looking to do, create more content for all of our projects. Now, of course, be aware there are some cons to using a method like this, such as it's not as easy to make changes like you can in the digital space where you can just press undo on whatever you last did. It's a little bit harder to erase when you've actually laid it down on paper. Along with that, since your drawing isn't done in a digital format, it's a little bit harder to send to clients who might want it in that digital format just for the sake of being able to really easily make some changes along the way. And so this is something that might work a little bit better for personal use rather than for commercial use per se. Now that we've talked about our free methods, let's go ahead and talk about some paid software methods that you can use. So I have been using Photoshop for nearly a decade now, since my architecture school days back in college, and although it is definitely a go-to program for something like digital mockups, that's not to say that it doesn't have its cons. One of the first things that turns people away from Photoshop is its cost. You can go ahead and pick it up on a monthly basis. You can buy a year worth of it. You can bundle it together with another program like Lightroom, or you can go ahead and pick up the full Adobe suite. Now, we use all of these programs on a daily basis, so it's absolutely worth it to us, but if you're just starting out, it could be a little bit more of a battle in your head if it's worth it or not. Also, if you've never opened up a program anything like Photoshop in the past, it can definitely have an overwhelming interface. You would have no idea where to even begin. But the reason for that overwhelming interface is because of the absolutely unlimited potential of what you can actually create in Photoshop. This is the one program that I just genuinely feel you can create absolutely anything that you want. The only limits on a program like this are kind of your own knowledge, because you can do and put absolutely anything together in Photoshop. It is just unlimited what you can do in a program like this. And once you start to learn one of the Adobe products, you kind of start to learn the rest of them in the suite. So if you ever move into something like Lightroom or video editing, Premiere, once you really start to learn one, you kind of start to learn them all. So it's kind of nice in that way. And now we save the best for last. This is a program called Procreate on the iPad. Now, what's really cool about a program like Procreate is you really just have that feeling that you're working with pen and paper again. If you use something like the Apple Pencil stylus and you place it on the iPad, you have that feeling, that nostalgia of just drawing again. So if you're somebody who grew up drawing, sketching in your notebooks in class, this is how you're going to be able to kind of recreate that in a digital way. There is an absolute abundance of brushes and textures and so many different things that are already built into Procreate and are super easy to find. This is a really easy program to navigate. Another huge benefit to this is how mobile it is. Whether you're on the train, in your bed, in your studio, whatever the case is, all you need to do is pull out your tablet, your little pencil, and you are good to go. And the absolute best part about this is that by far and away out of all these methods, Procreate on the iPad just feels the most fun. Working on a big screen like this, holding this stylus with all of this potential just at your fingertips, this is definitely my favorite way to do a mock-up. The only real con that we could find with something like this is that you do need a little bit of stuff to get started. You do need an iPad, you do need an Apple Pencil, and there is a small little price tag of $9.99 from the App Store. But other than that, this is definitely my go-to when it comes to doing any mock-ups. Alright guys, so I'm quickly going to walk you through how this Photoshop file that we created works. You can go ahead and open this file in Photoshop, Photopea.com, the online browser, or you can also open it in Procreate. So once you've downloaded it, I'm going to go ahead and load it into Photoshop, and then you'll see that we have the main image, and then I have a group called panels. Once you expand this folder, I have every single panel already labeled so you know exactly what area of the shoe you're going to be working on. I'm quickly just going to show you a real simple technique in order to change any color. So if we go ahead and select a layer like the toe box, this, we go ahead and head down to our FX button down here. We select a color overlay, and then you'll be able to select the color picker and pick any color here from this color picker. I'm gonna choose this real bright green. We're gonna click OK, and now we have a green toe box, and you're gonna go ahead and follow these same steps for every other panel on this shoe. The laces, the sock liner, the tongue. Get as creative as you want. So all you need to do to get started is go ahead to that first link in the description. You can download either the JPEG or the Photoshop file. Pick any of the 4 methods that we walk through, or whatever your method may be, and it is a totally blank canvas. There is no set themes. The creativity aspect is totally up to you. And then you can submit it to us by emailing us at contact@DeJesusinc.com or simply shooting us a DM at DeJesus Custom Footwear on Instagram. So we will be accepting any and all entries up until Wednesday, March 11th. That is 2 weeks from today. Shortly after that, we're gonna go through all of the entries, pick out our favorite one, and then we're gonna film a video turning the mock-up into a real life creation, and then we're gonna go ahead and give them away. We are super excited to see what you guys are gonna be able to cook up. We thought this would be a cool way to go ahead and give back, let you guys pick the design that we're gonna go ahead and give away for 100K. Hopefully real soon we'll be receiving that silver YouTube plaque. I can't believe that that time is finally almost here. Thank you guys again for your continued support here on YouTube. It has been an incredible journey. Thank you guys again for joining us. Go ahead and give this video a like if you haven't already. Make sure you're subscribed, and we'll see you